Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a man who is an MLB All-Star pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, Trevor Bauer.
Yeah!
Attaboy, Trevor! Attaboy, Trevor!
What's up, guys?
I can't thank you.
Quite the intro.
Yeah, well, you deserve it, man. You're awesome. The reason why this happened is because you took to the internet about a week ago, and we're talking about how there's potentially some narratives and agendas being worked into this potential collective bargaining to get back into the MLB season after this quarantine thing kind of lets up a little bit. And I tweeted you and I said, hey, I'm all about a good burial of somebody that's being a selfish stooge. Let's talk about it. So I thank you so much for joining us today. This is very, very cool of you. Let's talk about it, though. The MLB and the MLBPA are currently in a situation, it seems like a standoff. The MLBPA made their offer back the other day. Where do you sit on this entire thing, and what are your feelings about a potential season coming back?
I think the first thing that we got to talk about is, I'm very confident that a season will be back.
Okay.
Like 95 to 100%.
Okay.
So
that's big news.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we have a long history of obviously, negotiating with each other as the MLBPA and MLB, but there's been a long history of labor peace. I think we're 26 years now, since 94, depending on how you count that year. Yeah. So 26-ish years now of labor peace, and I got to imagine there's going to be it'll be the same thing this time. We'll get a deal worked out. No doubt in my mind about that. There's no way there won't be baseball this year, in my opinion. So.
And the comment about Scott Boras. Now that's an agent, by the way, who he signed $1 billion worth of guaranteed contracts this offseason. I didn't know he existed until you tweeted about him, and then I kind of did some research about him. Were you referring to the potential people inside the MLBPA that are pushing the narrative like, hey, we need this money to get figured out. We need money to get figured out. Were you thinking like, hey, we're in the middle of 38 million people being unemployed, a completely different world. Should we have a little bit more brains instead of just business side? Is that why you went after Scott Boras, or what was your full motive there?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of rumors in the industry. Obviously, anytime you're involved in an industry, you hear a lot of different things from a lot of different people. Some of them are true, some of them aren't true. There's a lot of stuff that swirls around, and people have their own motives and all this different stuff. But anytime someone comes out and is trying to, I guess the way I interpreted it was he was trying to tell players, not just his players, but doing media interviews and stuff like this, exactly how they should be negotiating this, how they should be viewing it. And that's not really his job. His job is to do that for his players, for sure. But like for me personally, I don't want to be represented by Scott Boras. I haven't asked Scott Boras to represent me, and I don't want his opinions and the way he goes about negotiating for his clients to necessarily be the way I go about it and the way my representation goes about representing me. And my representation being the agent that I've chosen to be represented by, the agency, and also the PA. So I think it's good that everyone has opinions, but I think they need to be kept to their opinions and to their clients, and you can share your opinion about what's going on and breaking it down and giving fans some insight into this is what the deal means, or just trying to educate people. But the opinions on what should be happening and how players should be negotiating and all this stuff saying players should not take another pay cut, regardless if I believe it or not. This is stuff that needs to go on behind closed doors, because as you brought up, there's a lot of people that are unemployed right now, and there's a lot of other risks too. It's not just the financial aspect of it. Look, there's a global pandemic going on, and players are going to be the ones out there in close contact with each other playing a sport. So we need to address the health concerns, and it's not just the players. Like as much as the players want to get back out there, and generally athletes are more risk takers than not risk takers as a whole, it's not just us. It's the coaches, it's the medical staff, it's the front office staff, and everybody's families that may be in that at-risk category, may have health concerns, may not be in as good a shape as athletes are. So all these things are going to have to be going on behind closed doors anyway. The MLBPA and MLB are going to have to sit down and talk and come to an agreement at some point, and they're going to do that behind closed doors. So why we're having someone out saying this is how the players should feel or should negotiate, it just does no good.
I think, yeah, because the big narrative right now is that, okay, the MLB and the MLBPA might not have a season. You're saying 95% they will, but the narrative is they can't figure out the money. And when Scott Boras comes out and says, well, players should do this, they shouldn't accept this, all of a sudden the fans are like, well, it's obviously the players that are not going to be able to do the money side of this thing. So the players look bad, where I assume there's a lot of players in the MLB that are like, hey, we want to play just as bad as everybody. Like, we want to play as well. And that's, I think you're 100% right for saying, like, these are conversations that should be happening behind closed doors. And if you look at the NFL, by the way, the NFL has all these conversations behind closed doors. You rarely see any of this shit leak out to the public, and you're 100% right in that, I think.
Yeah, two things on that. One, I haven't spoken to a single player yet that does not want to play baseball this season. Everyone is like, okay, I want to play. I want to get out there and play. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We all love to play. Yes, it's tied to the financial ability to take care of our families. I think 60% of MLB players or something make under $1 million a year. I could be wrong on those percentages, but there's a large portion of people that are on the league minimum that don't make even close to $1 million a year, and they're looking at pay cuts, and then they have a family and a house and payments and all that different stuff. So there's the financial side of it, but there's also the understanding that this is good for the country. We want to be out there entertaining people. That's, at the end of the day, we're entertainers. Yeah, we play a game, we want to win a World Series, but we're entertainers. We entertain millions of people on a nightly basis. But we want to be out there doing that. We want to have some sense of normalcy. At the same time, we recognize that there's added risk, and in anything, you don't want to be taken advantage of for no reason. So this is why we have our union to negotiate in the best interest of the players. But then my other point on that is, MLB has come out and made a lot of this about the financial side of things. It was partially, I have to explain this part. So partially in the original agreement, there are these things that are laid out of okay, if X, Y, and Z are met, we can restart a season. If they're not, we'll discuss the financial feasibility and the health concerns of potentially starting a season. So because the original things have not yet been met, this is why we're having these negotiations and we're discussing the potential start of a season. So that's good. And then we just drive a wedge home right in between the fans and the players by making it all about the money and not about the other stuff. And so for a long-term strategy as MLB, I don't know any other company that would intentionally sit there and drive a wedge between their customer and their product. It doesn't make sense that you would try to have your customers hate your product and think that that's good for a long-term strategy. So when all these details about it's going to be a 50-50 revenue split gets leaked to the media originally, there was not even a financial proposal that was ever made to the union that reflected a 50-50 financial
they're lying, Trevor? These people are lying to spin their narrative? No, that would never happen.
Hey, I'm not accusing anyone of lying, but when you leak it and you say, okay, we're going to put this out there in the public as a negotiation strategy, we're going to put it out there in the public, we're going to see how people react to it, we're going to see how players react to it, we're going to judge if they're unified or not, if there's argumentation between the players or not. Then the fans look at the players and say, oh, MLB thinks we can be back, but the players are greedy and they don't want the money, and so now you have a wedge between the fans and the players. It just makes no sense long term. So it's the let me try to get the best deal this year and sacrifice the long-term health of everybody in the industry.
It doesn't make it easy. This happens anytime there's a collective bargaining conversation. The NFL sees it. The NFL will leak all the good things from their side of the negotiations, and then all of a sudden the PR war is already won by the NFL before the players can even get out and start speaking. And it's always going to be the fans are on the side of the owners because the owners are there before the players, and they'll be there after the players. But I think once fans start to realize that, hey, some of this is just some BS that's getting spun on one side, and some of this is just hey, we're trying to figure this out. It's very interesting how the PR can win a negotiation before you even get in there. I'm very happy to hear, though, that you're saying 95%. You're the only person I've heard, I think, that knows the baseball world that's hey, good chance baseball's coming back. Because I thought there was a chance, Trevor, that you guys were going to potentially strike. And I've been watching the live at-bats from your Momentum company on YouTube. Absolutely these live at-bats concept, I want to let you know, is brilliant. It's genius. I wish that they had a camera from the same angle that you're shooting. Basically, for the people that are listening or watching that haven't seen these yet, Trevor and a couple guys in the MLB went out in the middle of the fucking desert. Is that an accurate assessment? Out in the middle of the desert? and they set up a pitcher's mound, a net, and a batter, and they were able to social distance. They kept this whole thing, and they were doing live reps. I had never seen a pitcher practice before. It was like it was awesome to watch. It was a brilliant idea by you.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Again, just going back to the players wanting to play baseball, this is what we want to do. So, like, even in my, I guess now off time, if you want to consider it that, like, I'm trying to get out there and face hitters because I love doing that. I love the competition. It's like, hey, you and me, we're going to go at each other. We're going to see who wins. We're going to talk a little trash along the way. I think that's the concept of having the players mic'd up so the fans can hear, like, what's going on and see the personalities of the players is so intriguing. I watch NFL, they do the mic'd up postseason and the NFL films and stuff. It's awesome. And so we're trying to incorporate some of that stuff into baseball and just showing that, hey, guys are out here being responsible, getting our work in, we're ready to go, but we're also having fun and trying to play the game that we love.
Live at bats, right? If you just search live at bats, Trevor Bauer Momentum, you find it, right? I hope.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But what I was saying is I was watching that because I thought there was potentially going to have to be scab baseball players and I was ready. What would you do if I got into a batter's box? Because I want to come out there. But is there any way I can come out to where you pitch out in the middle of the
absolutely. Let's get you out here. Come on.
Where is it? It looks like you're out in the middle of literally like Area 51. Where are you? You're pitching into a bush, it seems like.
Yeah, Arizona is a lot of desert. So we get out a little bit from the city in Phoenix. We get out on the outskirts a little bit, and there's plenty of places out there. You got to watch out for rattlesnakes. That's part of it. Got to dodge those guys, but.
Trevor, I want to let you know, I played baseball one time in my life. Okay, one time I played for the Washington Wild Things Frontier League. We recorded it. You can watch it now. Pat McAfee, professional baseball player. It was my only time ever on a diamond. I play hockey right-handed. I golf right-handed. I assume I would bat right-handed, but once we got done with the game, I was... By the way, 3 at-bats, made contact 3 times. Guy was pitching 90-plus miles an hour.
Let's go.
No big deal, Trevor. No big deal, okay? But I think it wasn't until after we did that we learned, I think I'm a lefty. So I think I need to, whenever I come out to live at-bats, I'm going to go lefty because I think I'm supposed to be a more natural lefty. Let me know what you think of this hack here, Trevor. Will you?
Let's just make sure we don't. Watch out for that TV, that sign in the back.
Trevor, get off my ass, okay? I almost broke that TV last week with a pretty big hack. I don't know if you saw that or not. I did. We had to move it before this because we knew I was probably going to have to swing this bat again.
All right.
All right, ready? I don't like it. Bad pitch. Bad pitch. Good eye.
Good eye. Come on, kid.
Here, hold. Hold on now, pitcher. Hold on. Still wait.
It's calling a shot.
No, that's me pointing at Trevor.
Go and pitch that ball.
Oh! What? Trevor, you scared him? Maybe I don't come to the desert, huh? Do you think maybe I don't come?
No, I'm not. I ain't scared of anything. Let's get it going. We'll put some side bets on it. We'll get the hecklers out there.
Oh, we'll get antsy out there. Who are some batters, though, that when they step into the box, like, okay, if I miss just a little bit, this could be a real problem. Is that what's going through your head before you're pitching?
Man. Yeah, Manny Machado, just because he hits like 700 off me with, I think he has over a 2,000 slugging percentage, which means he averages more than a double per at bat off me.
So when he steps into the batter's box, you're like, all right.
I'm just like, come on, I don't. Just walk. Just go to first. don't hit a homer, please.
They say that I forget what movie that was, where the guy says lock in. He's a pitcher, and it kind of blurs out.
Yeah.
What's that? Do you know what that's called?
Clear the mechanism. Yeah. For love of the game.
Yes, for love of the. They show that at a lot of kicking camps, right? Because kicking and punting, the same exact mindset. Now, granted, you're doing a lot more reps and things like that, but they try to teach you to clear the mechanism, like, hey, it's just you and the ball and stuff like that. Is that what it's like for you when you're pitching? You get in a zone, you have no idea what's going on. Let's say you're having a perfect game or something. If somebody mentions, is all that stuff that you hear about from outside the baseball world true?
Yeah, it is. But for me, anyway, how I experience it, it's all retroactive. So in the moment, I don't realize that I'm like in the zone or anything like that. And then after the game, someone will be like, "Oh, did you see this guy like streak across the field in the 5th inning?" Like, I had no idea. I have no recollection of that. Are you kidding? They'll show me the video. I'm like, I don't know where I was. I didn't see that at all. So yeah, or like, did you hear this guy yelling at you in the stands? Did you see this sign over the dugout? No, I didn't see any of that because I was locked in. And then there's other times where I'm like sitting there with teammates and I'm talking about it, like, oh yeah, did you see this? Like, there's this guy in the stands above the dugout, like when I'm pitching, and I think in my head, I'm like, uh-oh, that ain't good.
No, today's probably not the day. Today's probably not the day, Coach. All right, we're not mentally here. We got some people. Those conversations when they come out to talk to you, what's going on? Are they just trying to slow you down, give you a breath? Like, what are those conversations normally like? I've never been a part of one, obviously.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it is not technical. I think most people think that they're coming out there to give you advice, mechanical advice, whatever like that. It's not that. It's hey, go ahead and take a breath. We're going to try to get ahead of this guy. What do you want to do right here? Let's just get on the same page with the catcher. Most of it is just to break the rhythm, just to get some sort of because things are kind of spiraling, and so you just stop it and try to break things and see if it gets back on a better track. I got a great story of one of these things.
Here we go. Hey, we go. We like great stories. We like great stories.
So a pitching coach that I'm close with, I won't name his name just to keep him out of it, but he's got a rookie pitcher on the mound who's like spiraling. Bases loaded, 1 out, just walked like 4 guys in a row. He walked in a run. So the guy, pitching coach, is like, man, I don't know this guy at all. It's his first start, first time I met him. I don't know what to tell the guy. Like the manager's like, hey, go talk to him. And he's like, man, what do I do? So he walks out to the mound, the whole time thinking about what am I going to say. And he goes, hey kid, I really gotta do a number 2 right now. And I can't leave the dugout until you get out of this. So I don't really want to crap my pants. So I need you to get a double play right here and get out of this. And he turns around, like pinches his butt together and like waddles back to the dugout. And like 2 pitches later, the guy rolls over and double play, and the guy gets out of it. And manager's like, hey, what'd you say to him? He's like, hey, you don't want to know. But that's the type of stuff that goes on out there. Just something to like break the rhythm, and because the pitcher's out there just spinning. He's in his own head. He's thinking, so you make him laugh a little bit, and it just resets everything.
Those double plays and things like that, you can throw for those. I've been learning. I didn't even know that is an actual strategy. If you throw it at this particular place, good chance it's going to roll into a double play. And that is your favorite. I watched on the live at bats whenever Kali was just he was murdering you at the beginning of that thing. you said all right, I'm gonna go to my curveball. Normally I go to my curveball when everything's kind of falling apart, and then you got him a couple of times. Do you have that pitch that's sitting in the back like, all right, it seems to be going out of control here, let's go to our bread and butter and let's feed it? And do batters know that that's coming, and does that kind of set you into an interesting standpoint there?
Yeah, for sure. For me, to lefties, for sure, it's my curveball. I've been throwing my curveball since I was 10 years old. So I have, 18 or 19, I guess 19 years now of throwing it. So it's my most trusted off-speed pitch. And so when I get into a jam, it's like, all right, this is my best off-speed pitch and my most trusted one, and I'm just going to throw it. And if you beat me on my best pitch, like, that's fine, because that's all I got right now. And I can tell the hitter, hey, he probably knows all curveballs are coming. And it's just a matter of like, is my curveball better in this situation than your ability to hit it? And so at the end of the day, there just becomes like a last stand mentality. Like, okay, I'm gassed. I got nothing left. Like, I'm going with this, and you're gonna go with that, what you got, and we're gonna see who wins, type of thing. So yeah, I definitely fall into those categories sometimes.
When I played that baseball for the Washington Wild things, that pitcher obviously knew that I had never played baseball before. There was a little bit of a marketing ploy. There was people all over the place for it. And I was told by every baseball player, it was like, he's only going to throw you the fastball, because if he throws you anything else, everybody in the baseball community will mock him. If his fastball can't beat a guy that's never played baseball before, you should not be on the mound. Is that an accurate assessment? And why did he throw me a fucking curveball?
Just to be a dick, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think it's true, but the fastball is definitely the easiest pitch to hit for the uninitiated, for the people who haven't played a ton. I mean, for the vast majority of big leaguers, all you see is a fastball. You don't see things that are moving coming at you, because anytime someone throws something at you, it has a fastball trajectory. Every time you play baseball as a kid, you play catch, so you just see this like flat fastball trajectory the entire time. It's the fastest pitch, so it beats bat speed a lot, but it's also, in my opinion, the easiest one to line up and to hit. So there's different ways of looking at it. I mean, if I face you in live ABs, I'll probably just throw you all fastballs, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm batting from the wrong side of the plate this entire time against this guy. I couldn't even fathom what I'm going to do from the left side. You saw what I did to TV.
I'll tell you what's coming. We'll line it up. My fastball has a good a good track record of finding the barrel. So you have a pretty good chance here, I think.
How many years have you been playing in the big leagues?
I made my debut in 2012. I've been up since middle of 2014 consistently.
Congratulations. Not easy, especially in the baseball world. What was it like coming up, like through the minors and everything like that? Because they say the big thing for hitters is you can do well in the minors, but once you get to the majors, if you can't hit a curveball, you're done for. For a pitcher, what was it like in the minors, like kind of finding your way, and how long were you down there before you got called up?
So I was down in 2000. I got drafted in 2011. I spent 2 months down in the minor leagues, and I spent 2 months in the beginning of 2012. So I was 4 months before I made my debut, which
That's
is
not
super
long,
fast.
right?
I was the first. Yeah, I was the first person from my draft class to make it to the big leagues, and then I sucked.
Stick taps for the guys. Stick taps for the. That's hockey. I don't know.
Big hockey fan over here, so I'm aware.
Okay.
But yeah, I made my debut. I was up for 20 days and I sucked. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, you got any Bauer sticks?
Nah, CCM only, cuz.
Okay.
Is that your
That's fair.
family?
No. Same name, so. But yeah, when I went back down, the biggest thing is in the minor leagues, I can get guys to swing at my curveball out of the zone, high fastballs. They swing a lot more. They're undisciplined hitters. When you get to the big leagues, guys just they realized I didn't throw a lot of strikes, so they just took, and I walked a lot of people. And then when I would have to throw a strike, they'd hit it, and I'd give up a lot of runs. So for me, it was the consistency of like, how do I get guys out in the zone instead of getting guys to chase? And something I couldn't really learn in the minor leagues because guys were chasing. So that was the dominant strategy, but it flips completely when you get to the big leagues.
Yeah, Trevor, so you were in the AL for most of your career, and then when you come to the NL and you have to bat for the first time, like, are pitchers just throwing you for fastballs? And, like, what's your mentality being a hitter for the first time in your career?
Yeah, so something that everyone should know, I used to joke with my dad when I was 8 years old and I was still hitting that I was in an 8-year slump. And, I couldn't hit Little League pitching. I was made a defensive replacement my freshman year in high school, and then by my sophomore year, I was a pitcher only. So my time in the box has not been very productive for me, and I generally don't like doing things that I'm not good at. So I hate hitting. I absolutely loathe it.
How come you guys suck at it? Why do pitchers suck at it? In my eyes, it would be something like, for instance, and it's much different scenario here, but like I feel I could catch a punt better than most punt returners because I know what the ball is going to do. Does that not carry over for you? Like, does that not help? Apparently not. I mean,
no, it does. It does. I know exactly what the ball's going to do, and I know exactly what the pitcher's going to try to do to me. I can follow along with the sequence. I understand what's coming. It's just I haven't spent nearly enough time actually doing the reps to be able to hit it. Like, I know a fastball is coming, and I'm going to swing at a fastball, and I'm just going to, like, miss it or break my bat, probably my hands. Like, I don't know. Probably just haven't spent enough time in the box, and also my swing is terrible. My swing mechanics are just.
Is it
really
worse
bad.
or better than mine? Is it worse or better than mine?
Probably worse. Yeah, I think so.
Homer.
That one's gone. Maybe you should think about walking through the box. You're a righty, I assume.
Yeah.
Maybe do like that beer league softball, start in the back, and then just kind of walk up to it. You know what I mean? Like. You know what I'm saying?
Happy Gilmore.
You know what I'm talking about?
golf it in.
I'm just trying to help you out here. I'm a big time hitter. You know what I mean?
I need all the advice I can get. So
is it strictly because of the lack of reps, though? That is 100% what it is. That's why pitchers normally suck at hitting. Why? Because that's a wasted rep on your arm or your body when you could potentially be resting, or what is it?
I just think that it's the time investment. Over the course of 20 years when you're growing up, like you throw a lot, and so pitchers they start specializing. They throw bullpens, they pitch. They don't spend as much time in the box or getting those at bats in the game, and it's really hard to specialize in two things. I imagine specializing as a quarterback and as a punter, like they're two very different skills, right? So if you want to be elite at being a punter, like you can't be spending half your time trying to be elite being a quarterback. There's some people that can do it. Michael Lorenzen's one that jumps to mind, but he didn't start pitching until in college. So he spent his entire life, being a hitter. And then because he was really athletic and he was really strong, he threw really hard. And so then he adapted that to the mound. I think it's a lot easier to go from being a hitter to being a pitcher than it is from being a pitcher to being a hitter.
That's awesome. That's great insight, Reed. I feel like I just learned a lot because I didn't grow up in the baseball community. So I was always confused. I'm like, these pitchers, you know what's coming. Well, it takes a lot of work to get there. I saw a video, I think, of you standing on a mound and then turning around and throwing the baseball out of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see more of that.
Hey, I've talked to a lot of pitchers over my time in the league and in baseball in general, and everybody at some point in their career has wanted to do that. That's everyone's been there. They've been super frustrated about everything that's going on in the game, and it's a day where I'm not feeling good at all, and nothing goes my way, and you're just stranded out there. Everyone's looking at you, and you're like, I got nothing, and this sucks. And everyone's been there. That's just I actually did it, so I'll be the one that goes down as the immature one. But I've been there multiple times where I've wanted to, and finally just snapped and did it.
Did you get drafted out of high school, or did you go to college?
No, so I graduated high school half a year early, so I didn't even play my senior season. I played my freshman year of college in what would have been my senior season of high school.
Oh my God! So you had to be just phenom. If you were the fastest up, and you seem to be the youngest in the draft class, you were phenom coming out, I assume. Where from?
Valencia, California, Los Angeles area, and then out of UCLA.
Jeez, man.
So
how fast?
I got good at throwing a ball.
What do you get to? What did you get? Did you lose speed as you get older, or do you gain speed as you become like a man?
All right, the vast majority of people in the big leagues lose velocity as their career goes along, and I think it's because they just stop trying to throw hard. I've actually gained velocity, or at least maintained it.
That's our guy,
Trevor.
Yeah.
It was ticking up until last year. I was hurt a good amount of last year, and so my velocity dropped to like 0.3 miles an hour or something for the first time in 4 years.
That's probably the gun. Probably the gun, if I had to guess. It's not you. Have you had the Tommy on already?
Nope. Trying to avoid that one.
Yeah, it sounds like one you should think about. But doesn't your arm get faster, stronger, like Henry Rowan-Gardner on the other side of that thing?
Hey, there's actually, look, I don't want to minimize what guys go through in Tommy John. So it's important to say first, the recovery sucks, and it's never fun to be hurt. And mentally, it's extremely draining. Just going in and doing the same thing over and over for 9 months, 12 months, sometimes as long as 15 or 18 months. So that sucks. Theoretically speaking, though, from a physics standpoint, you can throw harder if you have a stronger ligament, if you organize your body in such a way to make use of that. So some guys come back and throw harder. Some guys come back and throw slower. Some guys never get back. It's just kind of a mixed bag. But, there's not the Henry Rowan-Gardner thing is not
what's that?
Not completely far-fetched, I guess. There's some argument to be made that could be a thing.
Well, I was about to say, please do not ruin that. Please do not ruin Rowan-Gardner. Ben Roethlisberger got that surgery, quarterback for the Steelers. He got Tommy John. Not normal for our sport. Nobody knows what's going to happen on the other side of this thing.
Yeah, is he going through that right now?
Yeah, he's on the other side. He's been throwing, though, so they're thinking he's back. But the Tommy John thing, just like all surgeries, by the way, rehab is a pain in the ass. But with Tommy John, especially at his age, nobody had a clue what was going to happen other than – so once he started throwing footballs again, a lot of Pittsburghers started breathing a sigh of relief. But nobody knows what's going to happen on the other side of it.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you get older, too. When you have surgery when you're young and you're still growing, the hormone levels are still up. You're still becoming a man, you heal better, you heal faster, you heal stronger, stuff like that. When you get on the other end of it, which is I'm starting to get towards that downhill slope myself, but you don't heal nearly as fast, you don't recover nearly as fast. The tissue you rebuild in surgery and stuff may not be the highest quality. So there's a lot of concerns outside of just the normal, hey, it's a surgery, it's unknown, regardless of how effective it is overall. You just don't know. When you get put under anesthesia, when you get cut open, you have no idea how your body's going to respond. So lots of concerns there for sure.
All right. So before we get out of here, I might pitch in my next game. I've decided I've never pitched before. It is the curveball. We just sit up here on this one right here, don't we, huh? That's what we do?
Yeah. So think about, I'll give you a quick little tip. If you think about throwing a football and your hand's on the side of the ball, right?
Yep, bingo.
So you want to keep this whole line very stiff. A lot of people think that you want to curl your wrist or snap your wrist or something like that.
Yeah.
No. You keep this very, very stiff, and you just drive that hand forward, and at some point your fingers get in front of the ball. Yep. And then that's how the curveball spins.
Okay, so when I'm about to throw a curveball, if I'm playing against a team, let's assume it's in AAA probably is where I'll end up next.
Oh, yeah.
Probably AAA.
Maybe majors.
Playing the Frontier League, maybe the majors.
Maybe. You can't rule it out.
He said 5% chance that they don't play. They might need replacement players. I'll be Shane Falco out there. You know what I'm talking about. So if I'm going to go throw the curveball and I hear the other team banging on drums to signify that I'm about to throw a curveball, what should my immediate reaction be there?
You should throw it anyway. And you just make it good enough that they can't hit it. I think with this tip here, I think they're going to be in trouble anyway.
What was your thoughts on that entire thing? That was wild. It's forgotten about at this point because we've had Tiger King, we've had we've had The Last Dance, we've had
Lance Armstrong,
Jet Passing, we've had Lance Armstrong. I mean, we have had a lot of things happen since then. But the Astros, that was a big deal, especially for pitchers. I'd assume. Like, hey, did you feel like after that and you found out about that, did you think, oh, that was possible teams were doing that type of thing, or was that kind of blown out of proportion, or were you pissed about that thing, which I would assume you'd be completely okay to be?
I knew about it from like 2017 on. Like baseball is a small circle of people. Like people talk. I heard things. I knew things that were going on. So it didn't surprise me at all. I was happy that it finally came to light because a lot of the things that I'd been talking about in regards to that situation, I'd been ridiculed for. And so when it finally became public, everyone was like, oh, shoot, maybe Bauer's not this crazy guy after all. Maybe he knew what he was talking about.
Oh, they thought you were like conspiracy theory guy. They thought you were like conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, for sure. I accused them of cheating in like 2018, I believe. And then after the 2018 postseason, we played them in 2018 in the postseason. They had someone in our camera well, like with a camera phone, filming our dugout. And I was like, in my head, I was like, if they're that out in the open with that, what do they actually care about hiding? This is the stuff with the cameras, the computer vision algorithms, the code breaker system, the potential of buzzers, the banging on the trash can, like all this different stuff that I'd heard. I was like, okay, well, that's what they're doing. So every time we went and faced the Astros, going into 2018, we had an hour meeting before the series about how we were going to relay signs from the catcher to the pitcher. And after that hour meeting, we still did not have a good system that we thought could beat what they were doing. And then, after that series, guys like Clevenger got a lot of heat for it. He came out and said, he wanted to say everything that we knew, but knew that he couldn't say it right then because it would just be looked at as being like bitter. So he says, he kind of bites his tongue in the interview and says that, we were outclassed analytically.
Great words.
Yeah. And so then he got a lot of heat internally from the Cleveland staff. Like, why are you throwing us under the bus? We were super prepared. And he's like, no, I wasn't talking about that at all. I was talking about the fact that they're cheating. They're going over the line. And, we chose not to do that. We chose to play by the rules, and then so we were outclassed in the data analytics space because they have these algorithms and stuff. But he couldn't say any of that stuff, and so when it finally came out, it was like 2 or 3 years of just built up frustration about not being able to say something, and then finally just unleashed. Like, all right, they're going to get what they deserve. They'll be known as cheaters, and I'll make sure that they're not going to be forgotten, or that fact is not going to be forgotten.
Were you guys thinking about throwing at them? A lot of the thought was the pitchers are just going to throw and peg them and everything like that. Like, that's the sanctity of baseball. Like, hey, you screw us over, don't worry, we got an answer for you as well. Was that a thought for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's justified to have that be a thought for certain pitchers. That's not my thought personally. I think nothing that happens on a baseball field is serious enough to risk life or death. And at 90 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, you hit someone in the head. You watch pitchers get hit in the head, and some guys, are on the brink of dying, don't ever come back, career ending. Like, it's not worth that. So I wasn't going to do it. I'm just going to make sure that the public ridicule doesn't go away. It's now part of like pop culture.
Yep.
And so, just casually reminding people that Houston cheated in 2017 and that the World Series is an illegitimate title, I think is fair play now. Just like when Cleveland blew a 3-1 lead in the World Series, everyone jumped on board with, oh, you blew a 3-1 lead. It's part of like pop culture. So that'll be part of baseball lore for a long time, and I think it's well deserved. But the physical side of things and hitting people, personally, I'm not about that.
I mean, what would you do with it? Would you take away their piece of metal?
Yeah, just a piece of. The funniest part about that comment is it literally is the commissioner's trophy. That's what it's called. So
it's your award, pal. It's named after you, buddy. Have a little respect.
I don't know. I don't know how you can not take that away at least, or at least, strip them of it. Maybe you don't take the physical piece back, but you just at least strip them of it in the record book or something. I mean, it's proven that they cheated that entire year. Like, I don't understand.
If I knew what pitch was coming, and I had technique, I had figured out the technique of getting my hip. How big of an advantage? That's a massive advantage, huh? That's just huge.
It's huge. It's huge, yeah. I mean, if you look in spring training, the biggest indicator of this is every spring training, pitchers come out and they throw live batting practice to their hitters before games start, right? And if you look at all those fields, there's a net in front of the pitchers because the hitters know what's coming and the pitchers are signaling. They're throwing a bullpen and the hitters are just standing there swinging to, like, see some pitches coming in because they haven't seen pitches in 3 or 4 months. It's dangerous. So they put a net in front of the pitchers so the pitchers don't take line drives and get hit. And yet now in the game, you have hitters at the highest level of competition that know what's coming, and the pitchers don't know that they know what's coming. So it's like
they're just taking BP in the World Series. They're just taking BP in the World Series, basically.
Yeah, basically.
They're cheaters. Houston Astros cheaters, 2017. A bunch of BS. Take that piece of metal back.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
All right, bingo. You got anything for him, Diggs?
Yeah, I was going to ask about the.
Hold on, Diggs.
Okay.
Ty, this guy. We have a guy. His name's Ty Schmidt here. Got accepted into Harvard. Okay, said nah, didn't go to Harvard because he wanted to play baseball at Iowa. Okay, this guy's name's Ty. Ty, go ahead.
Hawkeyes.
Yeah, go Hawks, baby. Just curious, what's your favorite park to pitch in?
Favorite park to pitch in, man. I love Seattle. Partially because it's one of my top 3 ballparks just visually. I think it's a fantastic ballpark. But it's also, the air is really dense and it plays really big, so it's hard to hit homers out of there. So it's a good pitcher's park. I haven't played in Petco yet. I know that's a beautiful one. I've been there multiple times, but I would probably have to say Seattle is my favorite park to pitch in. The Braves Park and Pittsburgh are gorgeous as well.
Pittsburgh stink. I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh. The Pirates stink so bad. Does everybody in baseball know, like, hey, they're not going to spend any money on anybody. Don't go there. It's a wasteland.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, Tucker Barnhart's our guy. Love that man.
I love Tuck. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back around to everybody so we can hang out. We got some good conversations that go on. I love that guy.
When are things starting back up for you guys? This weekend, just hang out? I don't know about workouts and stuff like that. When do you guys expect to – I mean, it all depends on this deal, I guess. But do you guys have something laid out like, hey, we'll start getting back into it a little bit here and there?
Yeah, so the facilities have slowly been opening back up, which is good. So I think Great American is open. I saw some pictures coming from guys that are in Great American Ballpark in Cincy. I know the facility out here in Goodyear has been open in a limited capacity. So right now everyone's kind of scattered. They're back home with their families, and so guys are figuring out, okay, are we going to go to Cincy? We're going to be there. When are we going to do that? Are we going to go back out to Arizona? Is that where spring training version 2 is going to take place? Everyone's starting to kind of get this machine churning and figure out the logistics of where we need to be and when, because we anticipate over the next couple weeks that we'll have an agreement in place and that, it'll be time to start getting ready for a season.
Trevor, I can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. You stayed here way too long. You didn't have to do that. The fact that you did, I appreciate it. Am I getting my leg all the way up here? How high am I going with my leg when I'm pitching here?
Hey, it's just as high as you want. Some guys, Nolan Ryan kicks himself in the face every time he does it. Some guys just slide step. So it's all stylistic. I like that. That looks good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a lot of distracting before the ball is pitched if I have a chance. So I'm going to do a lot of that shit. You know what I mean?
I love it. Hey, we'll get you out here in the desert. I'll face you in the box, and you can get on the mound, and I'll face you as a hitter. We'll see who comes out on top.
Listen. Okay. When I go out there, Trevor, all right, and I put these sons of bitches on, the BGs, I've learned is what they're called, cleverly, batting gloves. When these go on, the game's stopped, Trevor. You might think I'm Mr. Friendly Guy. Wait until I'm out there. Wait until I'm out there. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm good-natured in interviews, but I step on the mound, it's a completely different beast, so we'll match each other.
Oh! What if I come in there with 2 fucking bats? He's got 2! What are you going to do now?
That'd be a first for me.
Live at Bats. Go watch it on YouTube. It is awesome. It's fascinating. They got great angles. I've never seen pitchers go full go not in a game. It was awesome. You're in shorts and a T-shirt. The batter's trying to. I mean, it's a very, very, very good idea. I appreciate you doing that. You can learn a lot about the baseball too.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Highly encourage people to check it out. Just guys out there having fun playing the game and being themselves.
And at a future date, when everything's slowed down here with the whole, virus, I'm be hitting dingers out there.
Yep.
I can't wait for that. That's gonna be a riot.
Ladies and gentlemen, at Bauer Outage, legend Trevor Bauer. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate the hell out of you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Thanks for
A lot of
staying.
fun.
Thanks for staying so long.
How long has it been? It seems like only 5 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's good. That's a great compliment. That's a great compliment. That's what we're trying to do. Make you comfortable, make you happy. But that was good stuff. That was really good baseball talk.